Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Geeks and Gamers podcast. This week I'm joined by Dan,
Hello.
Steph,
Guten Tag.
Scott,
Good evening.
and one very ill and almost zombified Paul.
Rains.
And I'm Luke. So this week we're going to be talking, well, our starting topic, shall I say, that we're going to be talking about is what games we've been playing this week. Thought we'd bring it back to a gaming level, seeing as the last couple of weeks we've not really spoke much about it. So I'm going to hand over to Steph as she wants to start this section. So fire away.
The game I've been playing quite a lot of is Destiny. Yesterday 2.0 update got released and Taken King is due for launch on the 15th. Change-wise, there's a few changes. The map looks different. The light level is now affecting what missions you can do, and that has nothing to do with your level increase, which is going to be based on experience. I've not really explored the new update, but I guess we'll see more when the Taken King's released. Been the first year since Destiny launch, and I've had a very nice love-hate relationship with it. So yeah, that's the game I've been playing. It's the same old shooting guns at enemies and doing raids.
I'm in a very similar boat. After 2.0, close to 3.5 hours for me last night. I managed to get an hour in before I went to bed. I like what I've seen so far and can't wait for obviously the Taken King. Well, as of recording date, a week today. So, Scott, what have you been gaming this week?
It's been a pretty busy week, so I've not done much in the way of gaming. However, after Grady's review last week of Ori, I decided to revisit Ori because I really loved playing it the first time round, and that love hasn't disappeared. I find it a lot easier, and I've gone through pretty much the entire game in the space of a day, or less than a day, just a couple of nights after work. Yeah, if you want the full review from Grady, go check it out on the channel, but I'd have to agree with most of what he said. It's a beautiful story. It's artistically one of the best looking games on the Xbox One, and despite it being a platformer, I've really enjoyed playing it, and I would certainly recommend it to anyone that hasn't tried it yet. It's a great game. Other than that, I've not been playing much of anything. Tried the Forza demo. Yeah, enjoyed it. It looks pretty. The rain mechanics and the environmentals are fantastic. But like most racer games, I found myself getting bored with it quite quickly. I'll perhaps pick it up once it appears post-release, but certainly not one I'd pick up on day one.
Okay. What you were saying about Ori, I mean, I haven't had a chance to play that yet, but, you know, obviously both you and Grady, highly recommend that. I did try the Forza demo. Needless to say, I think I got 1.5 races in and gave up. Still not my game. Much prefer the Horizon series that they did. But anyway, Dan, what have you been gaming this week?
Well, I don't think it's a big surprise what I've been playing, but Batman Arkham Knight, yay! Basically, I've just been playing Michael Keaton, Batsuit, and Batmobile, just racing around trying to get all the Riddler trophies. 2 months later, I'm still trying to collect all those things. They get on my nerves. This month, it's a pretty exciting month for owners of the game. We're getting the Toddler from the Dark Knight movies. Not sure if there's a Dark Knight suit coming with it yet, but fingers crossed. We're also getting a Nightwing story pack based on the GCPD, which would be exciting. We got the Crime Fighter challenge pack on the 1st of September, but that was a little underwhelming if I'm being honest. But we're also getting the original Arkham Asylum suit, and that's just for, nostalgia purposes, really. Would say the Arkham Knight suit is a lot better, of course, but it's just nice to have it and, there to play with. As far as any other games, I did finish Metro 20 Last Light the other week. Bloody loved that game. The story is amazing. I have to say I love it even more than the original, surprisingly, because I loved that game. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I find both the Metro games are fantastic. If I had to pick one, I'd say Last Light's probably the easier to play, whereas 2033 I did find myself scrounging around for bullets and air filters quite a lot. Batman, I've still not had a chance to play, but after how much you've been raving about it, I might have to sort of rent it at some point and try out the Baticorn. But let's move on to Paul. Paul, have you got enough energy to tell us what you've been gaming this week?
Yeah, I tried as you said as well, the Forza 6 demo. I played the full demo all the way through and enjoyed it. I've always been one for, if I'm bored and I don't want to play all my normal games, it's car games I do kind of go back to. I used to play the Need for Speeds and things. So I went back and played Forza 5 because I got it as the game share thing through Xbox and played quite a bit of it, got quite a few achievements, enjoyed it, but it's not a games that I would essentially either buy or I'd possibly rent them. more than anything. But it was enjoyable. Apart from that, I've just been blooming addicted to Halo. SWAT and Action 6 seem to be. Eleanor is also nodding her head to this. Excuse me. I've been having a bit of fun. We've done a bit of the achievement hunting again on Halo, and we've finally collected all skulls for the Master Chief Collection, which a couple of them in Halo 2 are a lot more difficult than they need to be, in a sense of you can only get them in Legendary, and some of them you have to hit 7 particular checkpoints in a particular order that will give you a seventh of a chance to actually get it to appear. So some of them are a pain, but yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, a couple of you mentioned that you tried the Forza demo. Just one thing for me that always puts me off Forza, and I don't know if anyone else finds this, is the time spent in the loading screens. The loading screens seem far too long compared to the amount you race. This week, I've been hitting a lot of Gears of War Ultimate Edition, as the guys here know. For me, Gears is life. Gears trumps Halo. It trumps everything else. Gears is the best thing on this planet.
Don't blaspheme.
I've started Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, not to be confused with the 2-hour prologue that we got free with Games with Gold. That is a fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game. The best thing is, normally when I'm gaming, right, my other half, she doesn't have anything to do with my gaming side of it unless it's Gears. You know, she got hooked on Gears. And when Gears 4 comes out, and if there's Horde in it, the chances are we'll end up split screening it a lot again. But through Metal Gear, the first sort of hour and a half you play the game is generally, it's more cutscene than playing. And it sort of explains the story of, you know, Big Boss. And I don't want to go into it too much, but basically my other half was just sat, she was hooked. She was just watching it on the telly. She actually told me to unmute the TV. Well, I offered, and she said, yeah, go for it. So I unmuted the TV because obviously normally I have it all coming through my headset. She just sat there like in awe at it, and even she thinks Metal Gear is awesome. So you know that's a result. And the last thing I've actually been hitting hard this week is Rare Replay. And obviously if you follow us on the Facebook group, you'll see the little thing that I put up about the Battletoads and them needing to make a comeback, because I think the Battletoad games are fantastic. But I think in general, actually the whole Rare Replay itself, I mean, I got lucky and got it for like £9, you know, so I got it for £10 less than what it's actually selling for. But overall, I think it's an absolutely fantastic game, and I would recommend it to anyone. There's such a variety of different games in there. I mean, I'd never consider myself playing, you know, games back on the NES that came out back on the NES, SNES, and even maybe the N64 nowadays. But you know, going back to him, they're fantastic. And in all fairness, they're probably easy achievements keep me going on them as well. So, you know, that's what we've been gaming this week. Has anyone else got anything to add?
Yes, I forgot to mention with the Destiny update, graphics have improved quite a lot, and people are comparing it to Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, the graphics, and it seems the enemies actually do look quite uglier and scarier. So keep an eye out when you're loading it.
See, I haven't seen any of that yet. I haven't seen any. I've seen some visual changes. I've seen some visual changes in the background. Some of the backgrounds have changed and stuff like that, and I think what I've seen of them and the lighting effects on it has slightly changed as well. From what I've seen of them, it looks a lot better, but I haven't seen any of the enemies yet.
Yeah, I was doing a few missions on the moon, and I noticed the graphic changes on there, and I was like, oh, it can't be. It must be because I've been playing Halo earlier. But no, and it feels much smoother when using a Guardian. I don't know why, it just feels like so much quicker, so much easier to move around. Enemies seem a lot tougher, like we struggled through the night. That's a rare thing to actually, you know, go through. We struggled. Like enemies are much stronger, and they've got like recommended light levels now. Like I think it was 160 for the Nightfall, and my level's only 152. So it'll be interesting to see when the Taken King's out what the maximum light level will be, and what other new shiny things we're gonna have.
Steph Housen Olden North as the ghost.
Oh my god, he is bloody awful. He sounds excited. The best bit on Destiny, we've awoken the hive. He sounds happy about it, like excited. And honest to God, he annoyed me. And I'm like, I don't want to do these missions anymore. The ghost is bloody annoying. And talking about ghosts, you get new ghost shells now, and you get improvements. They actually add to your defense. I'm going to say that very loosely.
It's on the defense. Oh no, and they're on the attacking side because on the same side as the weapons. Yeah. It's your. I
wasn't finished talking about it.
Meh.
I know. With the collector's edition, your ghost you got with that in the first collector's edition, It was a red ghost, and it basically can find spin metal. Each ghost, which the speaker sells, has different abilities. The gunsmith has guns to try field test. They are pretty fun to use, and they seem quite powerful for a common. So, and another change people have noticed is that the rare items seem to be stronger than anything in year 1 weapons and armor-wise. And if I know for a warlock we got was it wristbands or whatever, and they actually count towards your defense now. And you got something called artifacts, which gets unlocked at level 40. I think I covered everything.
No, I was just going to say there's a lot that's come out in the 2.0 update.
I'd hope so. It was 17 gigabytes and took like 12 hours to download. And apparently the Destiny servers crashed yesterday when people were downloading it.
Yeah, apparently it caused a bottleneck effect to the Microsoft servers, and basically people were just struggling.
How did it feel letting go of Galleyhorn?
I don't really... To be fair, the Galleyhorn doesn't seem that nerfed. It was only the Wolfpack rounds, and to be honest, I haven't noticed it. But what I have noticed reading through all the Destiny Facebook groups is the Thorn now takes 3 shots to kill someone in Crucible, which I'm happy about because the Thorn was OP. The assault rifle's got a buff, and also any bounties you're carrying, which weren't exotic, just they got scrapped, and any exotic bounties you're carrying will be automatically completed.
Oh, that's cool.
So I got my Thorn finally. Oh, and there's going to be a blueprint of any exotics you have, so if you accidentally dismantled anything exotic wise like I've done, they'll be available to remake.
I think I'm going to have to get Destiny again.
Might as well wait for the Taken King release and you get the DLC with it, or previous DLCs.
Is this podcast going to be available in English for those of us that don't play Destiny?
It's for the people, because we slagged off Destiny so much, so this is like the happy Destiny thing until like 2 weeks later and I'm like, bloody Destiny.
Right, so now we've all said what we've been playing this week. I know that Scott's got our next topic. So, Scott, I'm going to hand it over to you, mate, and take it away.
Thank you, Luke. So, this arose last week after the pretty considerable fallout from the comments that Andy Horowitz, one of the writers for James Bond, made regarding the possibility of Idris Elba becoming the next James Bond. Now, we've seen so much, especially in the past sort of 5 years or so, of films being remade, recastings, various different things, and the first kind of, shall we say, controversy, for lack of a better word, that arose was quite recently, when I'm sure there are probably earlier examples, but it was the first one that sprung to my mind this week, was the casting of a black Johnny Storm, and that caused such controversy. People were up in arms about this. And of course the same thing happened this week, well last week now actually, when Idris Elba was touted as possibly being tipped to play James Bond. Now, personally, I absolutely love Idris Elba as an actor. I think he's phenomenal. There's nothing that he has done that I've not watched and been very impressed with. He was phenomenal on The Wire, excellent in Luther, and to me, Thor as well. I guess I'm thinking more of his characters that might translate to a Bond-type character. But in fairness to Andy Horowitz, is it Andy or Anthony? I keep getting the two of them mixed up. Anyway, Mr. Horowitz, there was nothing to do with race. His comments as to why Idris Elba would not be able to play James Bond were because he was too street. Interpret that as you will. He perhaps could have been referring to race. But the topic that I kind of got onto was, why do we have a problem with fictional characters being reimagined in this way? I'll also bring in Ghostbusters here. We've seen so many remakes of different films that have been, people don't kick up a stink about. But, God, the very notion of an all-female Ghostbuster, people were up in arms about that as well.
Because women belong in the kitchen.
I don't...
Scott's not finished talking, I had to interrupt with that.
That's kind of where I'm going, Steph. There's so much thinly veiled prejudice that still exists in Hollywood. Women are still seen, female actresses are still seen as a sort of lesser quantity. And it's something that, people like Helen Mirren have identified in the Oscars. And good on them. And it's the same thing with things like Johnny Storm being black. How dare they? Idris Elba being Bond. He's black. Can't happen. It really irritates me because I'm a very big fan of James Bond. I've read the books. I've watched the films. And of course, we have this quintessential idea that you should be upper class English, very macho, very bit of a womanizer. But in no place does it say that he can't be X, Y, or Z. So why do we have a problem when we try and change these characters? And why do we think we have a right to say that this character should be this particular way? Discuss.
I think with James Bond, I think the main issue I saw with it was because traditionally James Bond is white, brown hair, blah blah blah, and not muscular slim built, and I think introducing that, because I know when Daniel Craig joined James Bond, there was a fuss about that, the fact he's blonde, and people weren't happy with that. But he has shown, you don't have to be traditional Bond to be like a very, very good James Bond, and I want Daniel Craig to stay in that role forever because he is hot and he's a very good actor. As for anyone taking James Bond, as long as they're a good actor, they can play the role and make me believe they're James Bond, I am happy with that. And nothing against female actresses and all that, but I think with Thor changing sex, it's like they need to pull off that story very well for it to be, for people to be okay with it. As for Ghostbusters, I think the problem is they don't need another Ghostbusters film. The first one was brilliant, and the second one just seems a bit, oh yeah, everyone's re-releasing stuff. We've got re-releases. Yeah. It just seems something what we don't need at the moment, and that's the frame of mind I'm in. I mean, it'd be nice to see a whole female cast for Ghostbusters, and I do think part of the problem is due to some sexist views and so forth within the acting industry. But I don't think we need a Ghostbusters.
Well, let me give you my 2 cents on the whole Ghostbusters thing. I personally don't have any problem with an all-female cast of Ghostbusters. I think it'd be cool, it'd be innovative, but I do have a problem with the people they have cast, especially one, Melissa McCarthy. Is that her name? She was in Tammy and the Identity Theft.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really a big fan of hers. I always see her as kind of derogatory and letting down, females all over the place. I would have liked to see more stronger female lead brought in that could, really pull off the role, like someone like Jennifer Lawrence or, I don't know, Zoe Saldana even. As it stands, I do not like the casting they have, and I don't like Paul Feige's flippant comments about the original Ghostbusters and how it needed more women. Well, of course, I'm not. He said it needed to reduce the amount of male leads and increase the female leads, which is alright, but
I don't see why it can't just be who's the best actor for the role. As in, a bunch of people go, oh, I fancy that role, let's go and act, and they pick the best one, whether or not, whatever colour, race, sex, don't really care, as long as you can pull off the characters well. Like one of the other changes that they've done is Tilda Swinton is going to be the Ancient One, Doctor Strange. Now, that's a change in ethnicity and in sex that they're doing with the source material. At the same time, is there a kind of sense that's going on within Hollywood industry that they have to change these particular characters or aspects? It doesn't seem to be a case of let's go with the best person for the role that can do the best performance. It seems to be, right, I want to change this particular thing, so I'm only going to pick this kind of actor.
Yeah, it does seem like to me. I think they're just trying to cause a whole, the controversy and jump on the bandwagon to get people to watch it.
So you think it's tokenism almost?
It feels that way because, Johnny Storm, they changed that, but then that's been criticised by everything else that was wrong with film. The actors were actually apparently quite good. I've not seen it myself, but the script, the story, there was a lot of background issues that were going on with Fox and can't remember the producer. But is it that case of this was the best person for that role, or I want to change it and have a black actor?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, we've been reimagining the way we see characters for as long as Hollywood's been going. Think of something like Doctor Who. Doctor Who regenerates, the character changes. Now, granted, it's always been a white British male that's played Doctor Who, but if they were to suddenly turn around and introduce a black Doctor Who or a female Doctor Who, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because
I would.
As you say, if the best person for the role is the person that turns up to cast for it and they happen to not fit what's gone before, why not?
Yeah.
And it was the same with Daniel Craig. When we think of James Bond, we've had someone that's been Scottish play him, someone that's been German play him, not German, someone that's been English play him.
Australian.
The current one, Australian, the current one's blonde. Small things have changed, and when James Bond originally appeared as a film franchise, this sort of misogynistic, suave, handsome secret agent, it sort of represented the type of characters or type of actor, that were in Hollywood at the time. It was very masculine. It was very, let's just call it sexist. It wasn't exactly a female-friendly environment back in those days, and that's just kind of how it was seen. But if we were to then change something now, I mean, think of how many black actors are available in Hollywood now, or not even just black, Asian. The entire demographic of Hollywood has changed in the past sort of 10, 20, 30 years. Still not quite enough, but as that demographic changes, the pool of actors that you can necessarily choose from is going to change. And I think it's important what you said, Paul. It has to be the best person. It doesn't matter what their creed, colour, religion, sex, gender, sexuality, etc. is. It has to be the best person on the day that turns up to audition for it.
I think Keith David should play Doctor Who.
An
Throw that out
American
there.
Doctor Who, I do not like the idea.
Why? What's your problem with that?
Doctor Who, the Doctor has been quintessentially British for the past 50 years. He's been a male. I'm sorry, but he's been a male. He's been old. He's been young. He's been crazy. He's been serious. He has never been a woman apart from a piss take. And I have to say, I just think it would cause a lot of Doctor Who fans to, feel resentment towards the show because they made that big of a change. I mean, you got to think of little things like the Doctor was once, a man. He was attracted to females. Now he's a female. Is he attracted to men or is he attracted to females still? What's going to happen there?
Why
I
should
think
that
you
matter?
can't be. I don't think you can be a fan of a series if you're going to not have interest in it just because a major change has happened. And
Yeah.
going off the other point, why does it matter?
So here's, to reverse that, James Bond. Could you have a female James Bond?
No,
There are
just to
female
name
secret
James
agents.
Bond.
No.
Yes, there are female secret agents, but as James Bond as the character, could you?
I think as the character you cannot because the name is James Bond.
Jamie
but
Bond.
you. Well, whatever. But you could have the title 007 onto a female. They would have to stop the James Bond and give it another name.
Right. So what you're saying there is no, you can't have a female James Bond.
Yeah, because it's called James Bond. Well, you can
There
have
you
a
go.
female
You
called
can't have a
James.
female Doctor either.
No, but
Well,
Doctor Who's completely different because it's Doctor
Yeah.
Who. You don't know the person's name, gender. Essentially, you don't know the gender because Doctor Who is a Time Lord. Is never the only thing that you physiologically know about them is that they've got two hearts.
Yep.
You actually don't know if he's male or female.
Yeah, but James Bond is different because it's it's called James Bond, and I would happy to see a female one day, 10 years time, and they reboot a new secret agent with the title 007, and that'd be quite. I'm all for that.
There was another debate that kind of came up in the wake of the Idris Elba thing, so coming away from race just for a wee second. And it was just, I follow a couple of the Bond forums online, especially when we're getting round to the release of Spectre coming up. And one of the discussions that came up was, well, what if it's not the race or G change? What if it was suddenly that James Bond was gay? Now,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm in absolutely no way homophobic, and that in itself, the sort of premise of that is perfectly fine. The sort of womanizing aspect of James Bond is a key character trait. Would it necessarily completely change who James Bond is and undo all of the stuff that's gone before if you were to change something like that?
Well, no, because he'd be doing the exact same thing, except he'd be doing it with men instead. I don't
Yeah,
see
but
how
You
that
wouldn't
he
have the same
wouldn't be a
impact.
womanizer. I think he could get away being bisexual, pansexual, whatever, but he has to be. But the main thing of James Bond is he is a womanizer. He likes women, and like I said, if it was to change gender or sexuality, or whatever, they would have to give it a different name.
Very similar in a sense with that as I am with my music. 95% of the time, I don't like bands who cover original music that I like. Now, I'm not saying that's all the time. So, sometimes, it wasn't that long ago, Scott, actually, you posted a Foo Fighters, I think it was, cover on Facebook, and actually that was done very well, and I enjoyed that. And it's almost the same when it comes to my actors or actresses, when it comes to obviously portraying a character that I like on the screen. One of the big ones, and obviously I've ranted about it a couple of times actually with you guys, is obviously the film adaptation of The Flash. Why aren't they using Grant Gustin in that? Why are they keeping the TV and the film completely separate, yet you still using Barry Allen? That's something that annoys me. But in a sense, I think the more you change a character, is the correct word disassociate, the more you disassociate with that character. For example, with the Spider-Man films, that many people, I'm anxious actually to find out what the newest portrayal is going to be, because I like Tobey Maguire, and then I started obviously watching The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and I enjoyed Andrew Garfield more. Although, if you look at each individual performance, both had aspects of Peter, but neither had him down to a T. Now, hopefully the new guy will, but when I started watching Andrew Garfield's version, I preferred him to Tobey Maguire, which disassociated me with that version of the character. For example, obviously, I don't really follow Bond, and the last time I followed him was Pierce Brosnan, but I can't get into a Daniel Craig film because of the fact I represent Bond to be Pierce Brosnan and before, although there have been actors before. I think part of that maybe is because I used to watch all the Bond films with my granddad when I was younger. He was a massive Bond fan. Anything after Pierce Brosnan I've never bothered watching. So I think sort of in a way changing the actor for a character can sometimes screw with it entirely for me. But if it's done right, don't get me wrong, then fine. That's fair enough. I mean, obviously, touching on bits that I heard with you guys with the Bond thing, about him possibly being a gay character or, having a black Bond or, as Dan was saying, a female Doctor Who. The female Doctor Who is entirely possible. As Paul said, no one knows what a Time Lord truly looks like. No one knows what a Time Lord truly looks like. Therefore, and it has, I'm almost 95% sure it's been said a couple of times during Regeneration, they never know what they're going to come back as. Therefore, a female character in that sense is perfectly plausible. When it comes to such things as James Bond, I don't believe a gay character would fit because, as I said to you and Grady the other night, and obviously Scott touched on it, is the fact that obviously he is a womanizer. The things that I said to obviously yourself, Dan, and Grady when we were in an Xbox Live chat the other night, the way I describe Bond, the Bond films is basically he finds a woman, shags her, saves the day, end of story. That is the basic way all Bond films go.
Daniel Craig's one is the woman he shagged.
He shoots, Silver shoots her.
Well, either way, he shagged her, but then he still saved the day. It doesn't matter whether she died or not. Still the same concept. So
every woman
I don't think
dies.
a gay character would work.
Mm-hmm.
Though that said, why not have a black Bond? I couldn't agree more. Maybe if there was a black Bond, that might be enough to twist me to get it to watch it again.
Daniel Craig's an awesome actor. Watch it.
If they're going to do that, they need to reboot it.
The thing is, though, with Bond, it just doesn't interest me. I don't find any storyline that they do interesting anymore because of the fact it's basically, Bond, you need to save the world. But on your way there, please, feel free to shag this woman that's just coming out the sea whilst whipping her hair around her head. And then when you're done,
Luke,
get back to task and go and save the world.
Luke, have you seen Skyfall?
No, and I don't intend
to. No, he
either,
just said he
Bond
didn't
is
watch
boring.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you should watch Skyfall, because if you think that's what all Bond films are, I think Skyfall might change your opinion on that.
Okay, fine. As my homework this week, I will watch Skyfall. And if
Thank you. It's on Netflix.
If it still works out to be roughly anywhere near the same, I will throw it in your face next podcast.
No,
Okay.
Honestly, Luke, I'm the same with you. I absolutely love Pierce Brosnan. That was like the first Bond I got introduced to. But I've fallen in love with Daniel Craig. He takes a different concept on from the original James Bond. There's a lot more action, not so much womanizer. So.
Well, in that case, I was just saying it. I mean, if that is the case, maybe they are worth a watch. But it still doesn't appeal to me. But in the essence of research, I will sit down and I will watch one. So
I will agree with one thing you said, definitely, in that if you change to the wrong sort of actor to play that character, it can absolutely ruin it. Going back and using Bond again as an example, I cannot watch the George Lazenby Bond. It is dreadful. And so I know there are Bond fans that disagree with me, but I think a lot more would agree with me. If you put the wrong actor in a role, it doesn't matter what their characteristics are. If they're not good enough, they're going to ruin it for you. I guess the main point that I wanted to bring out with the Idris Elba thing was if you change not the character necessarily, but one of what we deem to be those, the traits that you would associate with Bond. And having watched Bond, I mean, I've always watched them, but they used to be on every Christmas and New Year. So me and my mum and my dad would sit down. They were huge Bond fans, and we'd always watch Bond over the kind of festive holidays. And that got me into reading the books when I was a bit older as well. And I don't think at any point, and granted I'd maybe need to go back and check, but I don't think any of the books explicitly ever say what his particular ethnicity is. We get introduction as to who his parents are, kind of where his parents have been as jobs. We don't even know necessarily that he's British. There's still ambiguity there as to where he's actually from, whether he's Scottish, whether he's English, whether he was born in a German base overseas, because one of his parents is German. We don't actually know where Bond's from. Granted, he's Scottish as far as I'm concerned. I'm claiming him just because it was Connery that was first. That's just the end of it. But yeah, I don't think those actual characteristics of what he is or what his gender, what his ethnicity is, have ever explicitly been addressed in any of the medium. Happy to be proven wrong, but we base our idea of what a character should look like based on our first exposure to them. So if, for example, your first exposure to Johnny Storm was going to be the recent one, any other one being white in future might confuse you. I guess one that we've not discussed, and being fans of the show, perhaps we should, is Will Smith being cast as Deadbolt. We've suddenly seen a change from the previous two Deadbolts in Smallville and Arrow from white to Will Smith as black.
Who's
There's been
Deadbolt?
absolute...
My problem
sorry,
is
Deadshot.
Deadshot. My problem is not with Deadshot being black. It's more I like the actor in Arrow, and to me, Will Smith can't take a serious role.
See, I'm gonna say something completely different. I think that they've deliberately cast Will Smith for a reason. If you look back at the Arrow TV series, Deadshot was always a very ground character, and he always had the one motive, which was his daughter. And I believe Will Smith can pull that sort of role off. And I believe that's the sort of role that they will give him through the film. He will be the grounded person of the Suicide Squad. He will be the one that brings him back to normality and has a bit of sanity when you look at the cast around him. So I think Will Smith being given that role is a good shout. Though I do agree, obviously I don't know the actor's name, but whoever played him in the Arrow series did a phenomenal job of portraying the character on the screen.
Michael Rowe.
Michael Rowe, there we go. Right, carry on, Paul, mate.
So we've talked about character change. Steph brought up the fact of the Secret Wars in the Marvel Universe has redone Thor. Thor is now female within the new universe that's been built. There's been another character change, and it's Bruce Banner.
Yes.
Oh, I heard about this.
Bruce Banner is now Adamus Cho and is being classed as the totally awesome Hulk. Now, Hulk is my favourite character. I've always liked the Bruce Banner character. I've liked Thunderbolt Ross as Red Hulk. I won't go into anything further than that because it could potentially be spoilers for people if they do ever want to find out. But go and check out the sort of Hulk families and things like that. There's a lot of different things that are within it. But Hulk has always been Bruce Banner. They've now changed it from this white American guy to Korean American Hulk, with the change of the facial features as well to be slightly Korean in the Hulk face. To me, I'm kind of going, what? You're clearly trying to identify that particular aspect that this Hulk is Korean. Is that not just going along with the point that I made earlier? Is that not trying to do a token gesture? You're trying to integrate so many different new aspects into your new universe, or is that just a case of let's refresh it?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's due for a refresh, and they're like, this is the best way to do it. Just put like a Korean actor. Do you know? This reminds me of those like college brochures, and it has like each ethnic group in a picture. I don't know if anyone else thinks about.
I agree with it. Feels like they're trying to go, look, we can cover everybody. We can get everybody related to everything a part of our universe. And yeah, it feels like a marketing campaign rather than this is the best way to go for this character.
Seems a bit racist to me.
I got
Sorry,
think that's
Scott?
what they're doing in I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, completely ignore me. Sorry, Scott.
Here's a question for you. See, when they wrote the original Hulk series, how many Asians do you think lived in the United States? Or Asian ethnic population?
True.
I would imagine it be more Japanese Americans.
Back
There was a
then,
lot
I'd
of
be
Japanese
surprised.
Americans.
Back then, I'd be surprised if the number was very big, though. I mean, compare that to now. How many?
Oh, no, I'm saying back then. I reckon there was only a few.
Yeah, the majority demographic of the states at the time, granted there was a rather large black population still within the United States then, but again, the entire demographic has changed.
That's then looking at it as, right, okay, let's cater to our now audience, which is then puts it back to it's more of a marketing campaign than.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's like Fantastic Four. You got like different ethnic groups for that.
Well, previously it was brother and sister, both white, blonde hair, and then you've got husband white, and then the Thing, which was orange.
Didn't they have an Asian in there?
No.
Oh, I
No,
thought they
not
did.
original.
I didn't watch the film. I only saw the trailer.
Okay, let me throw this one to you then. One of the longest running shows on television, cartoon show, American, yellow people.
Simpsons.
Exactly.
Yay.
How would you feel if any of them changed? I mean, you look at it over the years and there's been characters drop out of it. I mean, Flanders' wife got killed off and, you know, I mean, for example, in the beginning you never knew Apu's wife and the fact that he had 8 kids. You know, that sort of stuff. And things just get thrown in all the time, but you never bat an eyelid at it. And then recently, obviously, one of the main voiceover actors is
Harry
deciding to leave.
Sellers.
Yeah, that's the fella. He's decided to leave. So everyone's up in arms. Oh, it's never going to be the same again. But then at the same time, you don't really associate with the voice actor. You associate with the characters on the screen. You know, so in that sense, what what would it take in that role for someone not to watch it anymore? You know, what would it be? You know, let's say, for example, because obviously, Paul, you're on about obviously refreshing the Marvel universe after the Secret Wars and this, that, and the other. What about if one day they suddenly turn all the Simpsons actual, I don't know, for example, like a peach colour, trying to give them like a white skin tone or that sort of stuff? Would that then ruin it, or would people still watch it?
I wouldn't feel like The Simpsons anymore because it's been going for 20 odd years.
Well, let me tell you something about that's been announced about the new series of the Simpsons that may break it for long-time fans. Marge and Homer are getting divorced.
Yeah, that's old news.
Which was undone, was it not? Did they not dismiss that as
Yeah,
being total
they dismissed
nonsense?
it.
Marge and
Yeah.
Homer have been divorced and remarried like 2 or 3 times over the 27 years.
Yeah. It's
This
like
is
it's
meant
like
to
the
be
same thing
permanent.
with. Well, no, 'cause it's the same thing with Family Guy when they shot that when Brian died, and then people protested and they said, "Oh yeah, this was meant to happen." Same thing would happen. The Marge and Homer wouldn't be split permanently because people would be against it, and then they're like, "Oh, they're remarried again." As for the comment, if Simpsons changed, you know, people became Peach. I think that would cause some issues, but then it would be like a new reboot of The Simpsons. So you probably lose your old fan base, but then you might gain a new one who haven't watched Simpsons before.
They've already done it to an extent though, because when they first introduced Mr. Smithers, he was African American for like 1 or 2 episodes and he had blue hair. And then they changed him so that it was in line with the colour of the rest of most of the rest of the Simpsons. I'm aware there's Apu and there's a bit more diversity these days. But yeah, when he started off, he was black, and then Matt Groening changed him to be in line with everyone else, to be yellow. So
There's a continual change with characters. With more of the grounded characters, you've got them as they've never really changed them since. They might change a bit of the backstory or a bit of their sort of future and things like that, but that's about it. It seems to be more comedy and bringing in as many actors as possible and have the actors play as themselves from that aspect of it. So, and with the actor said that he was leaving, that's then been reversed as well. He's actually staying because I read a news article, must have been a couple of months ago
It's a
now,
bloody roller coaster.
that he was deciding to stay.
Okay, so just to sort of bring this topic to a close, has anyone else got anything to say, or are we all happy enough that we've said our piece in regards to obviously the whole changing of characters and actors, etc., and so forth?
Daniel Craig's not allowed to leave ever.
Yeah, I have one more thing to say about Doctor Who.
Right.
Okay, you're saying that we should have a female Doctor. I'm saying
No, we're saying there's a possibility it could be a female.
Correct.
Well, yeah. Well, why not just give River Song a spin-off show then to satisfy that need?
But why not
Why-
have
It's
a
not the
female
Doctor
doctor?
Who. Yeah,
Yeah, but why are
kept
you
them
so
down.
against it, Dan? That's what I want to know. Why are you so against the possibility of Doctor Who being a female?
Because
He
he's
explained it earlier on.
Fair enough.
was
When
basically on
it
the
goes live, I'll
concept-
listen.
It's basically the concept of it's been running for 50 years and it's always been a male.
So, Daleks never used to be able to go upstairs till they gave them thruster packs.
I would say that was an upgrade.
Well, there
So,
you go then.
why not?
Why isn't a female character not an upgrade?
Oh God, I'm not going to answer that question. It's going to make me sound like a sexist pig.
Okay, so
Okay,
we'll
we're all
leave that
men here.
conversation there. We'll leave that conversation and
There's a new YouTube series coming out and it's based on the game Elite Dangerous. The new series is called Dark in Space. If you want, I put it on our Twitter, GNG_podcast, a link to the YouTube and on the Geeks and Gamers page. And if you want to follow their Twitter, let me scroll down everything. It is something I cannot pronounce, so I'll put it on the Geeks and Gamers page.
okay, awesome. So, without further ado, I think it's time to wrap up for this week. So, from me, it's
Oh,
good night.
it's Dark in Space _ED. I looked at the wrong one.
There you go. So, on that note, we're going to wrap it. It's a good night from me, and I'll let everyone else sign themselves off. Don't all jump at once.
Live long and prosper.
good night, folks.
All right. Allons-y and au revoir, my friends. See you next week.
See you all later.
And as you see, we weren't lying. Paul really was ill. See you all next week.